Honestly, has anybody ever moved better than this guy?
He's changed the way the game is played, the way defense is played, and has taken it to another level on both sides.
He's very intelligent, he's almost an intellectual.
Who hits the ball deepest in the world right now in men's tennis? To me, it's Novak.
Novak. Yeah, Novak.
Who returns the deepest
Novak.
in men's tennis? Novak. Who is the best player in the world? Novak.
What's up, ladies and gentlemen? Hopefully everyone is ready for the final that we've finally arrived at Roland Garros in 2023. After, honestly, I gotta say, as much as I like to be positive, this was a truly disappointing, especially given the hype, a truly disappointing semifinal round between Novak and Carlitos, as well as Casper Ruud and Zverev. Zverev, again, you know, he had a great tournament. It was a wonderful bounce back the year after a horrific injury took him out of one of the best matches he had ever played to that point against Rafa. It was great to see Zverev back, but unfortunately, he played a really, really tough match. He was not consistent. He was making unforced errors, especially on very easy balls near the net. He was cranking it way long in unnecessary situations. And it was a credit to Casper, because Casper has done a spectacular job of using his best capabilities, counterpunching, making his first serve consistently, avoiding unforced errors, just general consistency. He used those tools really well because there was a lot of self-destruction on the other side of the net with Holger Rune, Jerry, and Zverev last round. It was just a very inconsistent effort, or really consistently bad effort. I've rarely seen a top player with that much talent come out and play as badly as Holger Rune played in the first two sets of their quarterfinal. But, you know, at the end of the day, Casper took advantage. The problem is, he is basically a poorer man's version of Novak, by which I mean everything that he does well: the counterpunching, the great defense, the good ability to take advantage when there's a break point and focusing in. Novak does all of those things equally well or better. It makes things so difficult. I always try to ask myself when I'm previewing a match, what are the paths to victory for each side? And are there a multitude? And if so, what are the most likely paths that are going to play out in this particular match? And based on that, who's likely to win? Now, the question, unfortunately, that you have to ask in this particular spot is there a non-injury related path to victory for Casper Ruud here? And the answer is honestly no. As much as I like to be analytical, come from a lawyer background, so it's very good argumentatively to look at both sides and see the strength of each. It's just not very feasible here. Again, Casper has had a spectacular tournament, especially given how terrible he was, really. And I don't use the word terrible lightly. He was incredibly inconsistent. He struggled with his mental. He was not anywhere near the level that he achieved consistently last year for the first half of this year. But at the end of the day, he has recaptured 2 or 3 weeks before this tournament. He recaptured his form and he's looked brilliant. He's done his best to be the best version of himself. He's playing very confidently, taking the opportunities on break points very efficiently, and hitting his forehand up the line when there's an opening for a passing shot also very effectively and impressively. He did that a lot against Zverev. But unfortunately here, the core reason that it's just such a bad matchup is that Casper really doesn't have enough weapons to trouble the ultimate backboard, the best defensive tennis player of all time, using that defense and turning it into offense, which is what Novak does best. There just isn't enough in terms of firepower. There isn't a Nick Kyrgios serve. There isn't that level of weaponry that you need to trouble Novak, especially in big matches, especially in finals. And again, head-to-head matchups, especially when they're outside majors, are often things to either be ignored or not taken into account to an insanely high degree. But I think, unfortunately, in this particular matchup, I think that they're very predictive. Again, Novak and Casper have played 4 times, never in majors, but Casper has not won a set. He's lost all 8 sets that they've played head-to-head. And I think that's just indicative of the difficulty of solving this matchup for Casper. He just cannot find a way to get into Novak's service games consistently enough. And Novak will obviously, as the greatest returner of all time, find a way to get into your service games very frequently. And Casper, again, he has a good flat serve. He moves it around, but I don't think that Casper will be able to serve consistently enough to be able to keep Novak from breaking him at least once a set. And again, Novak's serve was very, very good against Carlitos last match. His accuracy has improved throughout the tournament. I just don't see any way that Casper, as much as I would love to have a super competitive final, I just can't see Casper finding a way of beating Novak. Novak is too focused. He was able to get through his last match without completely exhausting himself. He looks healthy, although he had to have a trainer visit early in the match against Carlitos. He looks healthy, certainly healthier than he was in Australia, and he was able to win that one. So again, as much as I would love to tell you guys, there's a nice angle to bet Casper. Casper might actually be able to come through for a variety of reasons. He has to play basically a perfect version of his own tennis game, Casper does, to even get to a tiebreak every set. So if you insist on betting Casper, and sometimes you just really want to go with the odds, at least throw in a bet on tiebreakers as well, because if Casper's going to win, it's likely going to be through keeping his serve often enough that he can get to a tiebreak in a couple of sets and then finding a way to win them. Again, that's really the only path other than injury, and even that I don't see as being super likely, but maybe we'll have a miraculously competitive final. We'll see. But I think, unfortunately, as hard as it is to say, perhaps the greatest winner of all time, probably going to get another 3-0 in a final. Enjoy the match, everybody.